Hi friends, I'm Jamae, your source for all things books and hoops, and let's get into my physical TBR for 2026. Now, a little bit of a backstory. I decided to do that 26 and 2026 thing, but I decided to do it for 3 different media buckets. So I did it for movies, albums, and books, of course. We're not going to talk about the movies and the music. Maybe we'll do something separate for those, but today we're going to talk about the books, and specifically the books that I already have on my shelf that I am planning to get through this year. If you've been here before, I'm gonna just let you know now that you have seen some of these titles. I have, for at least like the last 2 or 3 years, some of these books I've been meaning to and wanting to get to, and I just, I guess I just run out of time, and so I never get to them. But this year I'm destined. This year I'm determined. This year I have a plan. We'll see. Anyway, so this is my stack of 12. Read it and weep. This is my stack, and we'll just run through each of these, maybe a little description about what they're about, and maybe why they're on my list. Starting off strong again. You've probably seen this one a million times, but Long Division by Kiese Layton. This book is really cool because it's actually 2 stories in one, and yes, you do have to flip them or it's going to be upside down. This book follows a kid named City Colston in Mississippi, and pretty much his worlds are going to collide with the 2 stories. Kiese Layton is a few of my favorite authors, so I love them, so I'm expecting to love him as well. Our next up is kind of outside of my normal realm. Typically, I read a lot, primarily Black and diverse books, but this one I got my therapist from a couple of years ago recommended it to me. It's called 8 Dates, Essential Conversations for a Lifetime of Love by John Gottman and Julie Gottman, and essentially it's going through the different kind of conversations and things you should be doing in a relationship, and I think this one is going to be really key for me because I'm one of those people that sometimes feels like you don't want to get too deep too early, and I think that this book is going to flip that notion on its head. So really excited to get through this one. Next up is Martyr by Kaba Akbar. It's basically about a young man grappling with an inheritance of violence and loss. I don't actually know too much about this, but I was standing in Lot 49 Books in Philly, and I read the first page, and I was like, I don't know where this is going, but it's so well written. I'm so the writing has gripped me in these 5 minutes that I read this book, so I'm super excited to read this one. And it says it's a New York Times bestseller, but I'm pretty sure it was long listed. Oh yeah, a National Book Award finalist, so it has to be good, right? Next up is Homemade Love by J. California Cooper. If y'all don't know, I love J. California Cooper. My name, A Piece of J, is inspired by her collection of short stories called A Piece of Mind, and so it is my life's work, not life's work, that's dramatic. It's my dream and hope to get through her entire catalog, and so I got to get through Homemade Love. I'm actually not even sure what it's about, but it don't matter because I was gonna read it anyway. Next is We Do This Till We Free Us by Mariame Kaba. Abolitionists organizing and transforming justice. It's it says it's all in the title. It's about abolition. It's about organizing. And I think those two things are things we need now more than ever. So this one also has been on my list for a long time, and I'm looking forward to getting to it. Next, we have Zora, Neale, Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God. Funny story about this one. I actually now have 2 copies of this because I bought it a couple of years ago when the 75th edition came out, and I saw this one in the store, and I was like, I love that cover. I need that book. I need more Black classics. And that's more of the reason to read it. It's a Black classic. And I think it's really important that we know what the people before us wrote about, because a lot of these conversations are the same. So Zora Neale Hurston is also another writer that I want to get into her catalog, and so I think this is where I'm going to start. I know I have the physical book, but I actually will either listen to the audiobook by itself or immersively read. I've had a lot of people talk about listening to the audio and how much it brings the story to life, and so that's what I'm going to look forward to doing. Next, we kind of actually have a 2-parter here with the Earthseed series. I think it's called Earthseed. Is it Earthseed? It's not on here. But these are Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents. Again, if you've been here for a while, you know I read Parable of the Sower years ago. It was like almost my reintroduction to reading as an adult. And it got me. It was so well written, and it was almost scary. How, again, some of those same conversations that we're having now, and the things that are happening right now, happen in this book. And obviously she wrote this well before the 2020s. So, it's a little scary in that regard, but I think it's something that I need to reread, and I never finished the series. So we're going to try to read these at the same time, not the same time, but read this one and then read this immediately after. Next up, one of my newest faves is, this is Necessary Fiction by Eloghosa Osunde. And I read her book called Vagabonds last year. Beautifully written, and some of it might have went over my head, but I still think it was a great story with magical realism and a little bit of speculative, a little bit speculative. And honestly, I have high hopes for this one. As you can see, I started Necessary Fiction. I read probably the first, 60 pages, and I only stopped because I couldn't dedicate the time and attention that I wanted to this book, and I feel like it deserves that. So we're gonna go back and read this. I actually had started to listen to the audio at the same time. I did enjoy that. So we're likely going to read these together. So, listen to the audiobook and read the physical. Because, yeah, this one is a queer novel about, I think it's a man. But a queer man who is kind of going through a grieving process when he loses his father, but it also includes queer relationships. I think they are in a polycule, so it's a lot of things happening here. But again, the first part is what I've read so far has been beautiful, and I think it's worth the read. So I will be sitting back down to read it and finishing it this year for sure. Next we have Marsha by Tourmaline. Marsha P. Johnson is this is actually one of Marsha's first autobiography. Well, it's a biography. She didn't write it. This is yeah, a biography about Marsha P. Johnson's life. And I'm really excited to read about this. I learned about Marsha P. Johnson. I feel like a couple of times now. I've read a few different books that have mentioned her. I think the first one might have been Trapdoor. Maybe not. But also just in various, TV shows and documentaries. And her life is something that I find fascinating. And obviously she's done so much for queer history. So she's someone whose life I want to dive deeper into. And I'm also excited because this book has photos in here. Don't mind my little there is a women's sports bar called Marsha's in Philly on South Street, and this is where I got that. But this book has pictures in it, so excited to see Marsha in color, and also maybe the things people have done to pay respect to her over the years. So one to look forward to reading. We're getting close to the end. Next we have Drinking from Graveyard Wells by Yvette Ndlouv. Gotta make sure I say her name right. This is a collection of short stories about short stories that I believe are supposed to be generational. Guess we'll see. I don't really know. To be honest with y'all, I bought this book because I was in a bookstore and this was one of theirs book of the month recommendations. And like, look at this cover. It's beautiful. Like, it's compelling. Come on. What other reason do you need to read it? And I didn't convince them. They all agreed to it themselves, but my book club is supposed to read this book in a few months. And so I know for a fact I'm going to get to it because we're going to read it together. And last but not least, Lonely Crowds by Stephanie Wambugu. I have heard so many things about this book, so many good things about this book, and honestly my expectations are so high. I'm trying to let them go down a little bit before I actually read the book, so I don't put it on a pedestal that, that's a double-edged sword, right? Like, it's you have to, your expectations are too high, so it doesn't feel as good as it might actually be. So this one might be further down the line, but I am excited to have it. I have it's a story about women, and I think I love books about relationships with women, and I hope to love this one. So yeah, those are my 12. These are my 12. These are my 12, and I will update you guys as I finish them. Happy reading.